Hello everyone, this is Miss Goldberry, and what I'm putting together for you is a review on how to do your pollution field lab from Unit 4. Now, just quickly, you can access your lab on your website under Unit 4 Pollution Study Guide 4.02. Now, this particular lab takes up to a week to gather data. If you have not started it yet, you need to start it today. As soon as you finish watching this little presentation I'm putting together for you to help you do this. Now you're going to need some procedures. So when you click on the lesson, it's going to pull up your lesson resources. Here's your lesson resources tab right here. You click on your lesson resources. You have your student guide, your field study guidelines, and your field study procedures. You're going to need to click on your field study procedures and open that up. There's two things you're going to need to open up. This is going to guide you step by step how to do it, and then this over here is a piece of paper you're actually going to fill out. Okay, fantastic. Let's go back to the lesson resources really quick. I already have this open for you. Now there's materials that you're going to need. You're going to need to gather these. So you're going to need a pencil and a notebook to write down your data, a milk carton. It can even be like a plastic or the coated cardboard. Plastic is best. Scissors, hole punch, or nice sharp scissors. String, black permanent marker, petroleum jelly, and a magnifying glass. You're actually going to use a magnifying glass every time you go out to do your field work. What's really important about this is I found that doing this on top of like a wooden cutting board was great. It just made it easier to make the holes and to cut my materials. Let's talk about how you can get it set up. Now, this is what you're going to need first. You're going to have to construct the monitoring apparatuses. You're actually making these little apparatuses that you're going to be collecting particulate matter and quantifying that particulate matter. You're going to take your empty plastic milk carton, you're going to cut it into 4 equal flat pieces, and then you're going to cut those into smaller squares. I've kind of constructed this here for you right here, that are 8 centimeters by 8 centimeters. You're going to need a ruler to measure that out, and if you need additional plastic, well, cut up another milk container. And then you're going to punch holes in the corner. Now, I personally found that 2 holes in each corner was a little bit easier to hang than just one in the center, and you can do it either way. You can just put 1 hole in the center or 1 in each corner. Then you're going to tie a piece of string through each of those holes and make a loop, because you're going to hang those either somewhere inside the house or somewhere outside where you are going to be collecting your particulate matter data. So that's why you have to do that. And I did etc. here because you have to make 12 of these. 12 of these because you're going to be hanging up 3 in 4 different locations. So that's the first step. Now the second step, again, is choosing your 4 locations near your home where you want to hang your apparatuses, and you want to put them in several locations inside the house, in your backyard, or in an area near your home where you're going to be collecting particulate matter. Now before you create your data table, I want to let you know that step 3 is where you're going to be setting up your equipment. And there's one other thing that you have to do before you set up your table. You're going to take your black permanent marker and you're going to make a small square that measures 4 centimeters by 4 centimeters in the middle of each of your original plastic squares, and that's what this is representing. So each of your 12 squares, I'm just going to pretend that I'm drawing my black square in the middle of my plastic square with my permanent marker, with my Sharpie. And you're going to do that for each of your squares. This area is your observation platform where you're going to be able to collect the particulate matter using petroleum jelly. Now before you do that, now it's time to create your data table. So you've already completed all your 12 8 centimeter by 8 centimeter squares. You're putting all of your little squares here, permanent marker squares in the middle, getting everything ready. You know exactly where you want to go. Now let's collect all of your apparatuses, and then we're going to now create our data table. There, drawn them all in. They're ready to go. This is string again that you're tying through the string or yarn that you're tying through the holes. And here's your table. You're going to need a table that has 5 columns across and 6 rows down. You're going to identify where your sample is located. So let's say, for instance, that. Alright, so now what you're going to do is you're going to decide where do you want to collect your samples. So there's some ideas here at the top that they've given to you in your laboratory directions, such as my bedroom, somewhere in your backyard. Perhaps there's a busy intersection near your home, or maybe you live near a industrial or business area that you want to measure as well. So you're going to label the top of your columns with that. And as you're doing your experiment, you're going to be collecting that data, going and looking back at your squares each day, and with your magnifying glass, you're going to identify, and I'm going to pretend I'm going to put in some little tiny virtual particulate matter, quantifying that. You probably are not going to find particulate matter that large unless you've caught an insect. Probably not this time of the year. But you're going to be seeing particulate matter collected on, hopefully you're going to find it, collected on your monitoring apparatus. And remember, before you put these out, you're going to be smearing these with a thin layer of your petroleum jelly before you mount them. Again, the petroleum jelly is an adhesive that's going to collect the particulate matter, and you can use your finger or a Q-tip. And the magnifying glass is because a lot of times the particulate matter is very, very small, as you know from our earlier studies of exactly what type of particulate matter is studied by the EPA and by the Department of Environmental Quality here in Utah, air quality. Now, each day you're going to be indicating if you find any particulate matter there. And I actually wanted to show you some data from a student collected. And so this is the area that they did for their study, and for their day, their sample 1, their day 1, they are actually, this is the amounts that they were collecting each day. And again, that's why you're using your magnifying glass, so you can count those amounts every day and monitor that. Because at the end, you're going to have your total, and then at the end of the experiment, you're going to have your total, and then you're going to divide that total by 3, because you had 3 different samples. Remember, you chose 4 locations, you hung 3 of your monitoring apparatuses in each location, and so that's why you're creating an average, because that's what you're actually going to graph, is your average. Let's go back to our directions here quickly. Now the next thing that you have to do after you finish gathering your data is you're actually going to track the air quality over a period of days at a wonderful website called AirNow. And here is the URL for that particular site. Most of us live in the United States. If you don't, you're going to have to find the quick links box on the left-hand side below the U.S. map to indicate whether you're Canada Air Quality or international as appropriate wherever you happen to live. And you're going to determine the air quality index where in your particular area. And I'm going to show you how to do that. When you go to AirNow, you can indicate where, I'm going to go back to the home page just to kind of show you step by step. This is what it looks like when you first come to the AirNow, and it's showing our chart of, our colorimetric chart of good, moderate, and unhealthy, very unhealthy, and hazardous. Our colorimetric key, you can see today things are not looking too badly. Across the United States, there are some areas where it's moderate. What you want to do is, I'm going to type in the zip code for the state, and then you scroll down and find the state of Utah. Click go, and you're going to be able to fill in your next graph, which is your air quality graph, or you can begin it for the duration of your experiment. So let's say, for instance, that you're actually ending your experiment here on, would be ending tomorrow, and you would already have some information that you needed. Now, as you can see, there's cities listed from the northern end of the state all the way to the southern end of centrally of this part of the state. However, not a lot from the southern. So, for instance, because I'm down in St. George, the nearest large city that's closest to St. George, of course, the air quality in Provo is going to be a lot different in St. George because, you know, Provo is still along the Wasatch Front. But I would just do my AQI, my air quality index for Provo, Utah. So I'd click on the city itself, and it's actually going to show me what my air quality index is for today, tomorrow, and it's going to show me what my particulate matter is. Details about my particulate matter as well for those 2 days. Now, I can actually go and look at archival information as well by region. I can look at, and this is where you find the past information that you're going to need, not only for the month that you have to map, but also for the week of data. So I'm going to type on air quality map archive, and I can pull up, for instance, right now we're still in the month of December, so I can pull up the month of December, and you can navigate around here as well, is that you can, here it doesn't list Provo, but it does list Salt Lake. I can go and I can look at November. I can choose the only map, I just want to let you know for archival, the only map that you're going to be able to find for Utah archival is going to be in Salt Lake City, and that's okay when you're doing your AQI data sheet. And then let's say, for instance, I want to go back to December, and then I began my experiment on December, since I ended it and it only has to go for a week, I began it on December the 10th. I'm going to click on the 10th. Try to pull up Salt Lake City. I want to see the maps. So here it's showing me my maps, and I can actually click on the day, and it's going to pull up my AQI and my particulate matter. I click on the day for Salt Lake City, and this is showing for Friday, December 7th. For instance, if this is the day that you had begun your experiment, and I can click on air conditions and current conditions and forecast summary. I want to pull this down really quickly so you can see the remainder of it. I can also do a county comparison, and I can look at monthly averages. So I can create my data. Let me show you what that data chart looks like. So when you're filling in question number 2, where it's talking about, did you observe any air quality index and particulate matter concentrations from day to day? And then you have to answer that question by, you have to come up with an answer of why you saw differences between the air quality index and concentrations of particulate matter. So you can see here that you list the AQI that you saw listed in the chart, and the particulate matter, you take it straight from that data chart, and then you just indicate what the category is based on the chart that's provided at the bottom of the map. And then from that information, then what you're going to do is you're going to graph it. You're going to create your y-axis will be your AQI category from good up to hazardous, and then you're going to indicate, your last part you have to do is you have to create several months of half of a year of data tracking the AQI for your community, and then come up with a reason why you're going to see the differences. And again, all this information is just right there in that website.